Hey everyone, and happy Monday! Welcome to another episode of Supersoul Boulder. I'm Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy in Boulder, Colorado. And here at Supersoul Boulder, we talk about all things mind, body, heart, health, and wellness, which of course means not just your body, which is one of my favorite areas of study for many, many years, and not just your mind and how that plays a role, but also your heart and what is it you're passionate about and excited about and inspired about, all those things. Hi, Dan. Hi, David. So tonight we are talking about alignment, which makes me so excited. Hi, Carlos. It makes me so excited to talk about alignment because it's such a part of what I deal with, think about, educate people about every day. And it's also relates to life, right? And how aligned are you in your life and the things you're doing? And how do we know? How do we know if we're in alignment or not? I was thinking about that today too. So let's start with the body, because the physical body is always a great example of how we, hi Carlos, of how we operate in our day-to-day lives. It's a good metaphor. So when it comes to alignment, well, let's just start at the basics. So when you're standing in your standing posture, you want to be as upright as possible on the structure of your skeleton. So if you're pulling one way or another, something's probably going to pull back. So our body's a whole bunch of forces and counter forces. It's really physics, which makes it really awesome. But what that means is we want to be as upright as possible on the structure of the skeleton. That includes all the natural, normal curvatures of your spine. And when we are as upright as that as possible, right, it means your chest is lifted, you have those curvatures of your spine. It means that your shoulders fall down and back naturally, and they fall more so over your hips, and your hips fall over your feet and ankles, and your head is resting and supported up on top of your neck and shoulders rather than jutting forward. Now what happens, and I see this all the time from one degree to another, is when someone starts to slouch or bend forward even 1 degree, it means that you start to put pressure on all these areas. One, the discs in between the vertebrae. It's kind of like a slinky. Your spine's a spring load, and if you clamp it down and then bend it forward, it doesn't just clamp it down, it puts pressure on the front side of those discs, which is what leads to disc herniations and disc ruptures over time. So we like to just prevent all of that from happening and have this free, upright posture, right? So we've talked about posture a lot, but we're kind of putting it into the framework of alignment, right? So alignment means that natural normal curvature. It means your shoulders fall down and back, your head's up on top of your shoulders. When we don't have that alignment, what happens? It's not like we go backwards, we slouch forward. We pinch things in the nerves in our abdomen region. We shorten the stabilizers on the front side. The shoulders round forward. People's heads jut forward. And then we pinch nerves in the neck, create issues with the muscles in the neck and shoulders and down the arm. When we come inward and even inward this way, which is what happens because most of us are sitting, walking, moving forward, running forward, then we lose range of motion of the hip. Because if you're slouched, you can't go as far. It's kind of like you're sitting in a chair and running or moving or trying to use those muscles, and you can't because they don't have the full alignment or range of motion or muscle length. It all goes together. And if we're pinching any nerves, then those nerves can't get to the muscles, and the muscles don't have full function. They stay short and tight and dormant and are trying to operate like from here rather than from here, this full, powerful motion. So when we slouch and bend forward, it puts pressure on the discs. We can pinch nerves in the spine. We come forward. It creates a tension, a counterforce on the back muscles. So your back muscles tend to overwork. Your head becomes up to 40 pounds heavier instead of 8 to 10 pounds. And the neck muscles work overtime for that. Not only that, but it shifts the biomechanics of the hip and pelvis, which means your knee tends to roll in. We walk or run more on the outside of the foot. And then we create more pressures on the knee, more pressures on the foot or plantar fascia or Achilles, and that's what leads to a lot of people's symptoms over time. And so a lot of it comes back to alignment, and not in a way, and I say this because I spent many years in my profession, both exercise science and personal training and physical therapy, all of it, dealing with strengthening. So strengthening is important, but it doesn't necessarily overcome a stiffness or tightness limitation. Like this, if your hips are really tight and stiff on the front and you're trying to just strengthen your glutes on the backside, you're missing this whole piece of how it's having to overcome this huge restriction and this huge tightness going on in the front side. So it's like we want to start at the root of the problem, not just the symptoms or the weakness, and try to, we only go so far with strengthening if you don't have nerve function. And so you guys know I'm a neuromuscular specialist, so look at it from that framework really helps, because it means we get long-term changes in those imbalances and alignments. So what happens over time if we say we're bending forward or slouching, it's creating all these imbalances and asymmetries. So for some people, it's like a side bend, rotation. Most of us have some subtle asymmetry. That's really normal and natural. But over time, those can become patterned. And as those become patterned, then our body does this actually amazing thing of compensating for that, right? So we have a side bend and the torso comes out. The body's great at righting itself and finding movement. But what's happening is it's also getting around the restrictions that are there. It's kind of like the body's way of not feeling the discomfort or pain, and then finding a way around it, which is really amazing. But the problem is that when it comes to the mechanics of the body, and if you're pushing it and moving a lot, like a lot of my friends out there that I know you are, and how I like to also, if you're doing a lot of repetitive exercise, usually those patterns will show their ugly heads in some way, especially if we're being repetitive, which a lot of exercise is. And that's not a problem. It's just like knowing that that pattern is going to come up because now there's extra pressure continually being placed on this one place, and now it can't withstand that anymore. So back to alignment, we want to have everything aligned and free to move. So once again, having that uprightness compared to a closed offness, we're talking posture here, right? Closed offness, I'm going to exaggerate it, then we've got the walker. We want to avoid that as we age and grow and stay nice and tall and upright, so that when we go to lift weights, when we go to run, you have full, powerful range of motion through every stride. Go to swim, we're not, working from here, we're working from big ability to move in all directions. If we have restrictions in muscle, which restricts joints, then we're a lot less able to move freely like we want to. Okay, so now how does that relate to alignment in life? If we, hey Todd, Happy New Year. If we think about alignment in life, okay, I have to slow down. I get so excited talking about movement, right? I teach my patients every day. So I have to settle a little, right? So alignment in our lives is very similar. And by that, I feel, and you guys, tell me what you think and how it strikes you, but as I've been thinking about it today, alignment means being in line with the reality of what's happening in our lives, being in line. I think it's easy to think of it as in line with what we want in life. But actually, as I sit with it more, it seems more important to understand that it's in line with what's actually happening in your life, like the reality, the moment, being with what actually is. And now we can talk about the body, there are asymmetries, right? But imagine if we just become aware of those asymmetries, and in becoming aware, perhaps we do what we need to do to unravel them. And they unravel on their own. When it comes to experience in your life, it's my humble experience that if I stay with something that's uncomfortable, an emotion or a memory or feeling, if I stay with something that's uncomfortable and really stay with it. I mean, we want to move away from it. We stay with it. Something tends to shift on its own. Even if we stay with the resistance or the feeling that we want to run away from it, because it's all information that helps us come back to where we actually are. And if we go from where we actually are, and I think that has something to do with alignment. Check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think, what insights come for you. But if we're in that alignment, something about my hands wants to come together like that. If we're in that alignment, right? If we're in that moment, being with whatever's here and present for us, we're more likely to slow down a moment, to see it for what it is and allow for something to shift and right itself. Because the body is actually also very, very good at righting itself and getting around those asymmetries. And it's great at healing if we know what to do to help it. Releasing some restriction can free up the body, free up the joints, free up that motion in such a powerful way. And it's with some ease and natural ability. You know, we don't need medications. We don't need surgery. Sometimes we do, but there are a lot of times we don't need unnecessary medications or surgeries or injections or things that just cover over the pain or the discomfort. We need to be with, that's just a signal that we need to pay attention to something. And if we catch that sooner than later, we catch the subtlety before it becomes a bigger problem, we're much more likely to solve that problem sooner, rather than let it go on and go on and go on and lead to bigger problems. So in our lives, if we can stay with what's really here and stay in alignment with where your life actually is and not necessarily get too far ahead of ourselves with where it's going, you know, if you can be in alignment with that, what actually is, then you're going to move forward from where you are naturally. And yes, we have to be with the opportunities that arise, the decisions to make, but that's all part of it, right? That's all part of what comes up in your experience. And so so movement in the body is even more free and flowing if you move from that place of alignment of things working well, fluidly, all together. If it's not, then you can take a look at it and it shows you what to work on. It shows you what you might need to address or figure out or get help with. I highly recommend seeking professional help. I just had a couple conversations today, or the last couple of days, around people Googling, health issues and on WebMD, and then freaking out because it tells them this really, serious diagnosis, and it's not necessarily what it is. So be cautious when you're out there, guys, Googling things, because symptoms can present in a variety of ways for a variety of different kinds of conditions. So be cautious of that as you're out there. Same with exercises. You're out Googling exercises. Sometimes you might need a little more specific, to you, non-cookie cutter approach to what's going on. It could be a good start, but it could also, take you off track. But I digress. Speaking of taking off track. Hey, Jerry. Good to see you. So if we come into alignment in our bodies and work with that, right? Things are going to change. Things are going to ebb and flow. Your body changes, gosh, on a day-to-day, on a week-to-week, on a year-to-year basis, and our lives do too. So I think that when we're in alignment, it allows us to read and receive the changes a little more naturally, right? Moving with it, able to move with it, kind of like a martial arts master is able to move with what's going on, have that flexibility. And so in our lives, if we can be with and hone that capacity to be with the present moment, to be with what's going on right now, rather than running away from it or resisting it, or that being said, even being with that, wanting to run away and wanting to resist, and starting to notice when that occurs, what that feels like, starting to become aware of your own patterns and tendencies. And as you become aware, and those are able to shift for you, so in that arena we may need help as well, allowing those patterns to shift naturally on their own because we become more aware, then we might be more able to stay in alignment with our lives. Dan says alignment is a very big, important topic. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So we might be able to best be with what is, be with what's occurring in every moment, and be able to read and adjust, and maybe with more capacity, more what I call strength, like inner strength, more ability to stay with yourself and be you, rather than all the distractions and things that our world tends to take us out into, right? Shoulds or supposed tos, or responsibilities towards others. So staying in alignment might just mean being with you and who you are, and getting more and more in touch with, in tune with who you are, and the best way that your body moves freely, and the best way that you live your life with the most integrity of all the systems, that alignment, that postural alignment that allows us to move more powerfully and freely with effortless effort. That becomes that alignment allows for a natural power to come forth. And I think the same thing is true in our lives. So if we stay with ourselves, stay with this moment, become more and more aware of that, of our own experience, even this at the subtle level, we're that much more able to move with life in that way too, while staying aligned, while staying in alignment with what's true for you, what's needed, what your uniqueness is about, what your life is. So staying in alignment, or we might fall out of it and come back, and that's okay. But what does it mean to you to be aligned in your life? What does alignment mean to you? I had to sit with that for a bit. Again, like I said before, it was easy for me at first to think about, I want to head in a direction, maybe towards a goal or a particular life, and be in alignment with that. But that's a little bit like leaving yourself, right? And going towards something that doesn't yet exist, or that's just a belief or a thought pattern, versus being in your experience right in this very moment, in which you can feel and sense your alignment, feel and sense for any pain or tension. Notice your reactions and responses to other people, to relationships, to circumstances, to injuries, to pains and problems and losses and hardships and joys and exciting things happening. All of it. That, when we're in alignment, we might be that much more able to truly live life to the fullest, right? Which really does mean being with each and every experience as much as possible, without running away from it, without moving away from it, staying in alignment, staying in that center, with everything lined up naturally and effortlessly. When we start to have those pulls on the body, again, it creates that counterforce of pressure, and then it's like this tension or clamp on the front creates a clamp on the back, right? Or maybe it's your shoulder, and it's like this pulls you forward, and the muscles in the back are trying to get you back upright, so they're pulling you backward. What I do all the time in the clinic is release what's pulling on that forward. Everything kind of frees up. We don't have to really even address the symptom or the result of that problem. We want to address the problem. And perhaps that is in alignment too, in alignment with what is needed right now. So check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think about alignment. As Dan said, I think it's kind of a big topic, right? Where to start? And start with where you are right now. What's coming up? What does your body feel like? It's always we talked about starting a couple weeks ago, but that's always the place to start, right where you are. And it just does bring us back into alignment, right? Because you're aligned with reality, what's happening right now. This is real. It's real, the very nature of the moment, versus the past, which isn't real any longer, and the future, which isn't real. It hasn't happened yet. Everything else is a memory or thought pattern or plan in our mind. So where are you right now? And how can you be in alignment? And maybe as you sit with where you are right now, or become aware of where you are right now, you're able to notice and make the movements or actions that are needed to address what could become a problem, or to use your intelligence when we come into the reality of the moment of what's actually happening right here, right now, within you and maybe in your environment, and in situations in life. It allows you a moment or space to take that needed action or the needed motion necessary. So let me know what you think. Let me know how that hits you. Please comment or like or heart so I know you're watching and interested. And my invitation to you for this week is to pay attention to your body alignment. You know, for my runners out there, such a simple, what I always advise runners first and foremost, and really not to think about too many things, but just lift your chest, let your shoulders fall down and back, your arms can hinge more there, and your hips have a lot more freedom of motion, less likelihood of abnormal pressures that create injuries. If you can't get that alignment in your body, that's information for you that there's a restriction going on and you're unable to get upright. You're kind of patterned into a more slouched place, which can create other issues down the line. So pay attention to your own body alignment, whether you're working or sitting or, you know, however that is. Just become aware. It's the place to start. And it's always good information. And reach out if you need a hand or want to chat about anything, for sure. And then in your life, just check it out. What does alignment mean to you? How aligned do you feel like you are in your life? And what would that be like if you're more in alignment? How much more freely might you be able to move through life and move through exercise in your body if you have more alignment, as in freedom of movement, because there's more joint space and muscle motion and nerve conduction available when we're aligned. Thank you so much for joining tonight, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next Monday for another episode of Supersoul Boulder. I'm Dr. Lara Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy, and I wish you a very healthy and happy week. See you next Monday. Bye.